So today, um, we're talking about soil, right? Okay, so a few weeks ago, I think my wife was asked a question by somebody, how do we grow in soil, in clay soil? Um, it is difficult, to say the least, um, but doable. I think if you're blessed or cursed enough to live in the Carolinas, specifically South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, these places with these heavy clay concentration soils, um, you know the challenges that come with that, and they can be rather difficult. And we were posed to, she was posed the question: do we direct sow or do we transplant? And I guess another option other than those two would be to do raised beds or container beds. Um, I have not had much luck doing transplants, though I don't do too many transplants anyway. That's not really my thing. Just because when I growing up, I never saw anybody really do transplants. Um, Great grandfather planted directly into the soil. My dad, who didn't do too much gardening on as far as vegetation, but as far as landscaping, of course, planted directly into the soil too. Um, but definitely transplanting can help you. This here is pan out. Um, our garden. It looks kind of weird without my turnip here, doesn't it? Um, in this space here, it was all basically. This was covered up by a above ground pool, and so clay is has two very good and very bad characteristics. One, it keeps water, and if it's not wet enough, it just stays solid as a rock. So it took us a year to get to this point. Well, 2 years. It took 2 years to get to this point, and you get this way by just tilling, working, tilling, tilling, working, tilling. It takes a lot of work, and right now it doesn't look so good on my side over here because I went ahead and took up all of my radishes. As you can tell, my bush beans are growing yellow. They're summer beans, so um, frost came through here the other day, and that pretty much did it. There are quite a few beans out here though. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna till all this stuff back here. Till not these. These are long leafed. I think 1,000 head kale that rolled down the hill and landed in these spots. I'm gonna leave them because they look pretty decent. Um, but anyway, my radishes were overshadowing the bok choys, and so they had to go. And so will these beans because these beans are getting ready to come out of season, of course. So we're gonna till all that back. Remember, I expanded this side over here. This was a part of the expansion project. We didn't put anything in the soil. We amended it with chicken compost. Um, but that's pretty much it. That's all we did. That's all we could really do. And our chickens produce quite a bit of waste. Um, and this is just straight bedding from the pen there. A ton of organic matter in here. It's just basic waste, and it's working wonders in the garden, as you can tell, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna till that part back. Now we expanded over here on this side, and that expansion, when we started our garden over here, we worked our way over here, and we worked our way over here, and right here is where you can kind of tell something happens, right? In this area here, you can tell something kind of falls off a little bit. Well, this is the part of the expansion from last year, right here. This is the newest expansion, and this is the very brand new expansion there. All right, so you can kind of tell the difference as you can tell how the garden changes, right? You can tell how this side is super green, plenty of nitrogen, plenty of everything that you could ever want in your garden on this side. Perfect. I wouldn't change a thing in this spot. Down there, you can tell, perfect. Plenty of green, plenty of bugs on that. Um, Plenty of green, plenty of just beautiful, right? Potatoes, they didn't look like this always, but frost came through and really killed them back a little bit. I'm debating whether or not I'll till this part up. This side is shade dominant, so really only rosemary really does its thing in this spot. But the potatoes were able to eke out a good living over here. But as you can tell, this side's been worked too. I just didn't rework this side this summer, just because of the shade. Sun doesn't really get over that fence there. I think the fence is like 5, nearly 5'10". Yeah, it's nearly 6 feet tall fence. But as you can tell, it's green here. It's green here. We pulled a ton of turnips from that side there, so we know it's good there. We know we got good here. You can tell the bush beans once again are dying back due to the weather. In their place comes broccoli. Our broccoli looks really good this year, so I'm really proud about that. There is some purpling in the leaves. Now, the purple in the leaves, I think that's a phosphorus issue. So I've got to take that compost from over there. Got some somewhat decent compost over there and apply it to these areas where I'm seeing some purpling in the leaves. Just because heavy feeding issues on this side. This is where corn was. This is where a bunch of things were. And my clovers tell me that they're doing okay. They're living up to the name. So it takes some time with clay. You have to add organic matter to clay. You have to work it. You have to till it. You have to open it up. You have to let it breathe. You have to let water get to it, let sunlight get to it, and you don't want to leave it bare. What I mean by that is during this peak season, this is winter, this is probably the easiest time to grow something in the South. Absolutely the easiest time to grow anything in the South is in the wintertime. Bugs are going back, they're dying away. We get cold weather here in the Carolinas, Georgia, but it's not cold enough to where it kills off everything. Because frost came through here, but the bok choys survived. And quite honestly, if nothing out here grew in my garden, if nothing grew, I'd be okay with it because I still have my clovers, I still have my radishes, and their specific purpose for this season is just to fix soil. And that's something that you need to, if you're growing in clay and you don't want to invest in potted container gardens and raised beds, then you have to get you an alternative source of soil revitalization, and that would be clovers, radishes, anything that's related to the beans, peas, bush beans, all these things work. In the legume family, I think that's what they call. I think I'm pronouncing that right. The legume family. You fix your soil. You want things to penetrate deep into the substrate of your clay substance, and allow water and nutrients and all those things to get down below. I went with raised beds in clay just because they do tend to, your water is going to be lost a lot in clay. So you got to keep it, you got to monitor it, and keep it just right. There's a little thin line that you have to walk with clay. We got a lot of beans out here, guys. I've been feeding them to the chickens as I go along, but we've got quite a few beans. So we did really good on beans this year. Yeah, that's quite a few. That's more than abundance of beans. Oh gosh, so that's quite a few beans. But remember, this is once again one of the things that you must do in trying to work clay soil, right? You got to put some plants out here that you know are going to be able to take clay soil and run with it. Beans, Eden, they just feed in clay soil. Because even though clay is kind of hard to work, it's still packed with a lot of nutrients that's in it. It's just you have to tap into it. You have to find things with deep tap roots to be able to tap into it, to spread out, be able to hold their ground when it's dry and soil gets kind of shifty, and when soil gets hard. So beans, fantastic. Radishes, beets, Carrots, surprisingly, I found out this year, carrots. Um, they all do really well in this kind of soil. And I'm just picking all these beans, guys. We got a lot of 8 beans. It'd be all right if I actually ate beans. I don't really do beans though. That's a lot of beans. Chickens will eat good. But yeah, you got to do these things to help amend the soil, just for your preparation, and it takes about a year and some change. I think this is good to know, especially if you're in like the inner city, and you may not have clay soil, but you may just have some just terrible looking soil, and so you need to just still apply these same things. I know it's sort of easy to go out and do raised beds. I'm not knocking raised beds. I'm not knocking container gardens. I just don't have a level of expertise in that. And I'd imagine that being in raised beds and container gardens are a lot easier to you can control a lot of better things than you can with just working the soil, because it can get frustrating at times when just things arise that you don't quite understand. You go look at one spot, you can say, "Wow, that dinosaur cabbage, the De Niro de Toscano cabbage. Wow, it looks fantastic." And then you come over here and you look at these puny little Brussels sprouts, and you be like, "What the hell happened?" Pardon my language, but you be like, "What the heck happened?" So, what did I do wrong? What did I mess up? That's just the joys of it. Like, you look at these big collards, you be like, "Wow, man, I got that on the head." And then you look over at these beans on this side, and you be like, "Man, we missed the mark on it," And that's not really, but because this was the expansion side, but you still prefer to see something a little bit in better shape. But it's what it is. But overall, it's a decent big garden. So, taking that into consideration, remember you need to ensure that you have mulch, and you providing an excellent source of nutrients to your garden. And so we'll walk over here to this side. I gotta go across the alleyway to the promised land. That's what we're calling this garden over here, promised land. So simply, I've already begun the process of this here. And I just got that fence up there because I got a dog out here that understandably wants to have his spot back. And so we're using that same process that we're doing over there in the motherland, over here in the promised land. There are peas in here. These are Austrian peas. And these are our radishes. These are our clovers. All right. And I put them here, one, because I know they can take some trampling. Two, because I'm not going to eat them. I just need them to help fix our soil. So I knew they could take a little bit of trampling, because it took me a minute to get that little fence mesh up. You can see the dog there. Just to keep him out of here. So I knew they would take a little bit of pounding. He didn't stay in here very long. Like, he wasn't walking in here that much. So I knew they could take a little bit of a trampling, because this would be your basic deer plot. This would be your basic things that deers will eat on. Luckily, the deers have not seen this spot yet. I had a feeling that they will. That little fence there, a chain link fence, ain't gonna stop a deer. If a deer want to get in here, it's gonna get in here. So there's nothing I can do about that. And I'd be perfectly fine with it, to be quite honest with you. But you can tell that's what we're running. Austrian peas. You can plant Austrian peas throughout the whole winter. You can plant those radishes. You can plant them throughout the whole winter. And I need to go through here and thin them out. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that at all. Like, there's no way of doing that. May the stronger survive. So to the victor go the spoils. And we got a pretty good mix of peas and radishes. And our clovers did really well. I broadcast the clovers. And I tried doing that on the bottom end down here. I did broadcast through here. You can kind of tell it. You can also tell where the dog came in. And they're doing all right. On this side, I'm throwing a Hail Mary, right? I'm throwing Hail Mary on this side. This side has collards, rutabagas, and cabbages. And it is so late in the year, and I don't know if they'll do anything or not. Given it's so late, it's getting ready to get cold. Seeds probably won't have time to properly germinate. But they're also whistling peas, Austrian peas. I keep calling them whistling peas. They're also Austrian peas on this side as well. This is clay. This is clay, and this is wet clay. I'm going to show you. Wet clay. All right. When you're going to till your clay, you would not till this. Do not till this, right? Wait until it is just crumbly enough to till. I use 11-inch electric tiller to till this, and even after you tilled it, I still have to go back through it by hand, and use my hoe to run my rows, just to be on the safe side. And it works. It does pretty good. It does good enough for an electric tiller. A gas-powered tiller would probably do you a whole lot better, but the electric tiller, cheaper, better on the environment, I guess you say, and it does the job really well. But remember, your clay soil, don't till it. Do not till it when it's all chunky like this. Once it rains, once your clay soil, once it rains after like a day or so, you want to wait. If you get a good heavy rain, you want to wait at least probably 6 days, 5 to 6 days at least, because the clay, it just holds water. So good thing, it holds water really well, but it's tough on your tiller. One, it's tough on your body. Two, it's tough on the seeds, because the seeds can't get in there and really establish their root system like they need to, with the soil being all clumped up like that. That's fantastic when they're already established, but when they're trying to send out their root systems, it's kind of hard for them to establish. I waited 6 days after that little tropical storm, whatever that last tropical storm was that came through, and the soil was still wet. It was still wet. So I probably should have waited 8 days, but my schedule doesn't allow me to wait that long. Whenever I have the opportunity to get out here and do something, I have to seize that opportunity. So it's going to be a trial and error here. As you can tell, there's some spots that the tiller got really well. Some spots the tiller didn't do so well, because some of the stuff is still on the ground. So we'll take it and live with it. This plot here is I think it's 25 by 50 feet. And so this is just the Hail Mary spot. There's some things growing out here already too. That's interesting. Remember, if you're gonna do your peas, remember, soak your peas at least 10 hours in water and put them in the refrigerator. And then after they come out of the refrigerator, go ahead and transplant them. These peas, were soaking. Here they are. These peas were soaking. They were soaked for probably 16 hours, and they were left in the refrigerator for probably 14 days. So the tails are, I don't want to take too much time, but the tails are already showing on them. But the shell of them was still hard enough to where that, okay, these aren't peas, these are just clovers. I showed you, I thought they were peas, but they're actually clovers. Yeah, they're just clovers. There were clovers already out here. So it's gonna be a trial and error. I think we're good. I think we're gonna be okay. I'm not sure. Don't hold me to that, but I just don't wanna hate to waste seeds like that because it gets expensive. Gardening is expensive. Um, but that's it, guys. So that little test strip there, that's collards, rutabagas, and cabbage. Southern staples, I guess you say. And it's just a Hail Mary. I didn't have nothing but time, so might as well try it. But that's what you need to do if you're growing in clay soil. Amend it organically, preferably. Old timers are probably going to tell you use 10-10-10. No knock against old timers. No knock against 10-10-10. Just understand that we're trying to. Times are changing. We don't always have to resort back to 10-10-10. Don't knock if you do use 10-10-10. It works. Marvels, leaps and bounds. 10-10-10 works just fine. But we can do it other ways. We can use composting from home. You can go to a big box store and get you some wood pine shavings, like these over here. My garden is a mess, so I apologize. You can go to a big box store and get you some pine shavings like that. They work fine too. You're amending the soil. Just putting organic matter into your clay. You need to give it some time. It takes about at least 6 months to show any improvement. A year, you see even greater improvement, and hopefully in 3 years from now, this spot will look, will look even better than it does right now. I don't like the way it looks right now, but I've seen it look better, and that's just because the hints of brown in it from our bush beans saying adios, arrivederci. They're leaving us, and I appreciate everything that they did this year in the short amount of time that we grew them. So I don't like seeing that much brown. I hate seeing my turnips gone. The new ones coming up, there's spinach coming up, there's carrots coming up. There are things that are trying to establish themselves. But I hate seeing my big turnips gone. They were really nice to look at. That's about it. That's all it really takes, and it takes a lot of time. Clay is hard to work, but it's worth it. And if you want to say, I don't feel like doing that, you want to do raised beds, you want to do container gardens, still the same process. You still use organic matter to fill your boxes, to fill your beds. All you need is just a little bit of lumber to build your bed. The only thing you need is a tote, just a basic tote for your garden, and put some holes in it. And you could do your container garden. If the soil, working the soil is going to be a little bit too hard, and I understand that because sometimes clay does demand physicality of it, physical, I guess, labor. It's physically intensive. So I understand if you may not have the ability to do so. Totally fine. You can capitalize off that. Get you a shovel. Incorporate. Even if you do container gardens, incorporate that clay soil into your container beds, into your raised gardens, because there's a ton of organic matter in clay. We just have to work it out of it. That's it. That's it for today, guys. I want to make more videos, but I don't want to overwhelm you with just the same old. I pray that you are successfully over the election, and we can get back to normal TV at least, right? If you're a TV watcher, you can get back to watching normal stuff. You don't have to watch that, and you should be in your garden anyway, so none of that stuff should bother you all that too much. I pray that the atmosphere that you move in, that you're building in, I know that you're growing in, is of nothing but God. I pray that you remain covered and safe out here, and we'll get it again some other time, guys. Thanks so much for liking, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks.